some of the services from the second keynote. But again, this is an open discussion. Raise your hands, let us know. We'll, it's interactive rather than being one way. We prefer if it's interactive, so just ask us questions. But yeah. So who would like to start this evening? Anyone? Any takers? Did anybody see that AWS has partnered with VMware?
Oh, the biggest one.
Yeah. Does anybody have? Who here is running VMware? Anyone? Anyone? Yeah. Cool. Do you find it interesting? No. Wow. But AWS has partnered with VMware. Yes.
Wait.
Yeah.
VMware.
Cool. Hang on. Who wants to take? Oh, I got two.
Alright, so the way it's going to work is you will set up a VMware. If you've got a VMware account, you can set up your AWS environment through the VMware account and provision your environment. It's very exciting, and from a technical point of view, I think there's another video that will tell you chapter and verse how dull it is, and probably how exciting it is versus doing something purely in AWS. But from the pure, if I'm talking about selling and actually developing business, it's a pretty exciting thing. Not because it's technically amazing, but because it's going to unlock a lot of conversations in the channel. It's also going to provide a lot of opportunities for people to talk about migrating workloads. We have VMware workloads very, very close now to the AWS infrastructure, the AWS stack. There's going to be plenty of things that are going to be able to be done there, and there's going to be a lot of really cautious IT managers and directors who are going to be very happy now to start dabbling in the world of VMware.
Gateway drop.
So, well, yeah, it's mid to late next year. It's coming, and you've been able to do VMware imports of VMs from an OVA file for quite some time, and that works okay. Most of the time.
As soon as VMware announced that as a feature for vCloud Air, Amazon announced it as a feature for Amazon that same week, and that was a year ago, 2 years ago.
So it's kind of, to me, like the death knell for VMware. It's like they've waved the white flag. But the way it's going to work is you're not going to be able to see your VMs as EC2 instances in your Amazon console. So you have to sign up for a VMware cloud account. And I think this was what Amazon have done with VMware to sweeten the deal a bit. Because if you did it the other way, it was like VMware's gone for all money. So this is kind of keeping it going for 2 to 3 years while everyone migrates, and then probably in about 2 or 3 reinvents, we'll have a magic switch that gets flicked, and then everything's there in your AWS console. So what happens is, you migrate, you can vMotion, basically, your VM instances into VM Cloud. And then you can connect to them, like as VPC endpoints from inside your AWS console. You won't actually see them as running EC2 instances at the start.
Does that mean the VM Cloud is actually just a front end to AWS? Is that what it's
this is the stepping stone. To me, I see this as the first step. The first step to the complete, VMware probably will get rebranded as, I don't know, it's like maybe Amazon's private cloud, I don't know.
I mean, but this is what vCloud Air was supposed to be 3 years ago. And then earlier this year they announced almost the same thing with IBM and SoftLayer. And I don't know when that's going live. If it's going live.
Yeah. The big challenge with AWS offering is it's actually only run with a single AZ. So if there was to be a failure in one single AZ, the VMware cluster goes down completely.
And it's running off of it's running off of AWS dedicated instances, which when they announced those last year, everyone was like, "What is that for?" I was like, "Oh, so you can run VMware." Or Microsoft or Oracle. Yeah.
I would be careful compared to you guys. I don't think VMware is dead right now. I think
3 years.
I think when the TV came up in the 70s, like they said, the radio is dead. But
buy the shares now.
I wouldn't. No, I think AWS is announcing the death of on-premise. Like they just want to get you rid of everything you have to manage yourself and leave AWS manage it for you. And I think that's mostly like blade centers, like racking those heavy blade centers and receiving those racks of disks is a time where, this is a time where we're not going to see that anymore. I feel myself lucky seeing that, but Yeah, we'll see if VMware is done. Like, I'll take the bet for 3 years.
Yeah, I mean,
I'll give you that bet.
yeah, VMware's problem is they are $5.5–6 billion profits, and they have to replace that. You know, they have to have some new feature, you know, that replaces that, and VRA isn't replacing that. NSX isn't replacing that. What's the roadmap as, you know, your 5.5 billion gets drained out from underneath you, and if you can't pay those bonuses to those engineers, you start having tech flight.
Didn't mean to start a debate.
Yeah, no.
This is sort of
I mean, so about this time last year, I was on
just say
VMware.
on-premise first, like let's kill on-premise, and then like I think the next roadmap is to kill those editors. Like the push is really on-premise, no mobile, like
No, I think it's all about flexibility, right? Let's focus on flexibility and having the ability to pick and choose whatever technology you want to go. You now have that option, which is really cool.
And
So
yeah, Amazon's never been about a pure cloud play. They're always, you know, if you need, you know, if you need VMware still, we're happy to meet you there. If you need dedicated instances, yeah, we'll do that. Anything to get you into their ecosystem, into their cloud. You know, you need a truck to back into your data center.
I'm not PR certified, so I'm not too sure I should be saying this, but just I suppose as an aspect to all this, the VMware side of things, being hybrid is not going to necessarily go away completely. There are certain verticals, certain industries, certain aspects out there that, or certain, again, industry verticals, which will always have some sort of hybrid approach. And it's hard to argue that, you know, with VMware, they have a very compelling offering in the on-prem private cloud space. You think of, say the healthcare industries, the hospitals. They have systems that, whilst we'd love to see them all, you know, migrate up into the cloud and so on, they're going to have some sort of mission critical, life-saving equipment and so on that will live inside the hospitals.
Your oxygen machine is in the cloud.
Yeah, I don't hear that.
So this partnership
next to you.
Yeah, Telstra's got a 8-hour outage.
Yeah, the only other thing is, when you do migrate to the cloud, you do have to have an NSX gateway, and NSX and the gateway in place. So if you don't have it currently, you will have to have it when you're doing it with AWS. So there's some extra money underneath also.
I mean, we were saying this about GIS 10 years ago, and now we see the snowmobile backing in to take all of those images up to AWS. So I think it's a dangerous presumption. But yeah, that being said, VMware's been moving into management for the last 5 years with varying levels of success. So DRA might get it.
So I think there was a very, very strong undertone at the conference around migrations. There were many sessions around migrations and success stories, and sure, lots of success stories, but there are actually some not so success stories as well. And I think Amazon are doing a hell of a lot to make sure that your migration process is smooth. And I think probably one of the biggest learnings that I got was that there's an end game that everybody always thinks about, which is all the cool stuff with the cloud, and it's automation and it's DevOps and it's, you know, push a button and everything is there. But 90% of the world is not there yet. And everybody's got stuff that's in data centers and stuff that's hard to migrate. And, you know, I do a lot of work with Cochlear, and we've got a lot of data that just cannot move off-prem. It's just, you know, we've got manufacturing machines and stuff like that. But it's about taking those workloads and saying, all right, how can we go through this sort of learning curve and this learning exercise, and there's a massive cultural shift as well around, you know, am I now obsolete because I used to, you know, work in the data center, and now I'm, you know, now everybody's talking about cloud and stuff. So there was definitely a theme of that kind of stuff. Maybe not as obvious as some of the cool stuff, But yeah, just more of an observation.
So the private cloud thing is an important point. And this is Amazon's place. So Azure and software have all done private cloud, and it's something that AWS has stayed out of previously. But to your point, I'd say of the workloads that people have, I'd say a good 70 or 80% of those might be up for migration. Some will stay, and whether VMware becomes Amazon private cloud or whatever the company becomes, I mean, it is a partnership, but I see it as a very one-sided. Amazon gets a lot more benefit out of it than VMware.
And it's really the only play VMware can make, right? They can't say, oh, let's go to Azure, because Microsoft's been giving away Hyper-V, trying to kill VMware for years. Google, they already did an announcement with that nobody really cared. I mean, Google is a very pure cloud play, and where they're like, oh, you're going to do it this way because that's how we do it at Google. And you're going to run containers in Kubernetes because that's the style we want everyone in the world to use. Meanwhile, Amazon is, what, you want to do what? Okay, we can make money.
I mean, if you look at the list of those services like code build, alright, some would think Bamboo is dead. Yeah, I don't think so. X-Ray, some would think that Dynatrace, AppDynamics, New Relic, those are dead. I don't think so. Like, people are still working, like having workload on premise, and they need something that can extend to their on-premise environment. And like X-Ray might get there, and we might have like the death of like performance monitoring software. But yeah, I'm launching another debate here. So
here's the other point I'd make on that: is it's a multi-cloud world moving forward too, right? So the competitors are going to get better. People are going to want one choice, and they're not going to just want to use AWS for everything. So that's a reality that will happen. I mean, one of the things that we see at our end is we see all the new companies trying to come into the market here in Australia, and I can think of 5 or 6 public cloud vendors who are trying to enter this year. Ali Cloud was one of the most recent ones, of course, which is quite quiet. Google's starting to fire up. There's lots of things going on in the industry, so I think that dynamic's also playing in the background. So there's always going to be a place for a New Relic or these other providers. It's great that AWS is having a pitch, but I think best of breed will be multi-cloud for some time.
So a lot of these, the products that were announced here were the ones that were the more geeky things. You had Werner Vogel's in his Transformers t-shirt strutting around the stage, which was awesome. I think a lot of what these products are not necessarily there to compete or to replace existing commercial offerings, but what they are there to do is, again, to make your journey into AWS easier, to encourage you to use their services because it becomes a one-stop shop. And maybe you outgrow some of their stuff, Some of their services are half-baked, right? Or they were, and they've evolved, and now they're pretty cool. But, it's the whole, let's get you on board, let's assimilate you.
Yeah, their services, remember, are all driven by customer feedback. Customers request these services and look for them. So it's all flexibility, getting new services that people want to look for. And it's always good to have competition, right? So, take it on.
Code Build and EC2 Systems Manager, I don't see anyone migrating to them. If you're a new company, a new startup, and you need something, it makes sense to use it. But I think a lot of people already have a Bamboo, they have Jenkins, they use GitLab. It's going to be a bit of a pain to migrate to that. I don't see much migration strategy for that. It's more of a new startup, greenfields kind of thing.
On a comment about multi-cloud, how do you see that playing out, given that once you get past sort of the stock standard sort of boring stuff, you haven't got portability. So if you want to do some of the more interesting stuff in either of any of the clouds, you really can't build an application that will go across those. So you want to use some of the high-end NoSQL databases or some of the queuing stuff. They've all got behaviours that mean that migrating from one to the other or spanning them is a real challenge.
HashiCorp needs to take it to the next level with Terraform, I reckon. Like, that's,
Do you get the lowest common denominator of them all?
Yeah.
Well, and that's Google's play with Kubernetes. Is you know, who cares about what we're running on? Just use Kubernetes, and we'll abstract away all that other stuff for you. And eventually, you're going to end up on Google Cloud, you know, GKE because it's cheaper. You know, it's cheaper and faster and better than running Kubernetes anywhere else.
Because
So
that's not
that's
multi-cloud then. That's that whole it's the all things concept. Okay, let's pick Amazon or Google or radio. Let's use everything they've got to offer because there's a huge financial gain from never having to think about queuing again.
Well, and that's why they're pushing Lambda so hard.
Yeah.
You know, once you're all in on Lambda and the step functions and stuff.
Step functions are just Lambda.
Lambda was the original one where you nailed to AWS.
Yeah.
But step functions has taken Lambda from a toy to something that you can really
put some, you know, serious workloads onto.
Yeah.
You know, because Lambda was just function as a service. Now you have something that glues functions together. Although that's another product called Amazon Glue, which is an ETL tool, which is something else again. So yeah.
Jason was exactly right. You end up with lowest common denominator. You can fit within Kubernetes, within the container, that's great, but as soon as you go out to a queuing service, a new NoSQL service, notification service, basically anything else, so you're going to run it yourself in your container, you're going to run Redis in a container. Then you're into, what's the point of me having a managed cloud service? I might as well just run everything myself and just stick to what it needs to do. So lowest common denominator, but try and, if you're going to get tied in, try and pick something that matches your company's outlook. And if you're a very heavy Microsoft shop, I would question whether you should be deeply investing into AWS. And because Azure is a better fit.
So a lot of the compliance postures are in, so like an APRA or an ISM. So they will only regulate some core services because a part of their strategy is you can't be tied to a single platform. You have to be able to get your stuff out of AWS. You have to be able to get your data out of you can't have one single point of failure. So what if Amazon went bust? They're not going to, but like all these things, or they jack the price up. So the ISM only says 4 services, your core ones, your VPC, EC2, S3, and EBS. All those 4 core features exist against the cloud platforms. So if you did have, like say, Department of Defense, you can only use those 4 core services, the lowest common denominator. And that's where all these multi-cloud provisioning tools, like say your Whitescales or your, what was the one that the Combank had the issue with? Service Mesh. So we don't mention that. All these cloud orchestration tools that everyone said, yeah, multi-cloud, everyone's going multi-cloud. A lot of money was spent on multi-cloud. I don't know anybody who's done it properly, other than your hardcore compliance for compliance reasons. You want the benefits of AWS, you want all the services, you want all the bells and whistles to go with it. But yeah, that is the multi-cloud thing. Just stick to your 4 core services.
Do you think that poses a risk for FSIs who are looking for something where they do need to comply with APRA? So, I mean, FSIs are a big chunk of the industry. There's an APRA requirement if they go to they use VMware.
What we found with APRA, so APRA it's not like your ISO 27001 or an IRAP, which has like a bunch of rules. You must do this, you must do that. APRA and ISM are both guidelines, all right? That we suggest you do this, all right? Now, you can still be APRA will give you a tick of approval, and you can use the non-standard services, so as long as you do your risk mitigation, and you write everything up, and you say, I'm not storing PII data in there, I'm not doing any of that stuff with it, and they will quite happily come along, they'll give you an audit, and they'll give you the tick, all right? But there are some, very few, places which are absolutely 100% strict to these are the 4 services, that kind of stuff.
I mean, PII is a big part of it.
Yeah, I know, but see, APRA is one of these. I've been to places that have interpreted the APRA literally, can't do this, and I've been to seen other financial institutions that are running Lambda and things like that, just because the stuff they're running it on, like front end web servers with no protected data, public services, and they can run it. It's fine. They're not. It's what you're running inside it.
We do, like APRA, we worked for 5 years with APRA, I work for AMP again. 5 years later, we now, still. 5 years later, we run 50% of our workload, and if we want to, we can push 100%. We can go all in AWS. APRA will not tell us, no, don't do that. They will to CBA, to other banks, because we were the first, and they want to see how we do with our journey, but they are not that picky. Like, they just want to mitigate the risk for you guys, for us, for customers, not for company to prevent them to do cool stuff. But that said, like, I just wanted to come back to what you were saying. Like, those are all the big services that came out, but there are a few that I'm not sure you guys are aware of, but AWS organizations.
That's pretty cool.
If you are an enterprise customer like me, managing hundreds of accounts, well, this is pretty cool. Like, I'm looking forward to see it coming to Sydney.
How far away is it? Anyone? Andy? No comment.
It's not on the Sydney roadmap.
It'll take as long as it took Lambda.
Like,
soon. I've signed up for a preview.
Who has opted into the new S3 UX? Yeah, massive improvement. You can now like sort your fields. No, but that's small improvement, but that's probably unnoticeable one. So probably was 300% faster to transfer your data into S3.
Yeah, it does the analysis thing now, and it will recommend what tier to put your data into.
Yeah.
Put it into IA or basic.
Yeah. So like lots of massive improvement that have been like probably eluded in those massive services. Like Batch is one of my favorite as well. Like Glue, as you mentioned. Really, like, I was blown away by reInvent. Like,
I mean, I think with a lot of these services, like Glue, you know, you want, okay, I want to transform a little bit of data. Let's just try it out. You don't have to now go and try and find some big ass, you know, enterprise sort of pay us $100,000 to try out an ETL product. You can just use it, you know. So.
I mean, that's what.
You had a question?
Yeah, I just had a question around there's been a proliferation, I guess, of new products, I've felt for a long time, I guess, that Amazon's sort of spreading maybe a little bit too far, that they keep developing new products but not necessarily enhancing or focusing on the products they already have. So I was just keen to get your thoughts on whether they just keep releasing new and new products to excite the market, but yet customers that are already using things like, you know, ELBs are looking for all sorts of functionality that F5 have had for years. Why are they, you know, to just keep releasing new products?
Yeah, this is a fascinating.
Where's your feedback form?
This is probably the most interesting question, you know, in regards to where they're going. I mean, AWS is such an amazing follower of, you know, all this stuff somewhere else, right? But they bring out new technology and they're always diversifying and bringing out new things. One of the big questions is what's going to happen to AWS with Amazon. They're going to spin it out, they're going to sell it. And of course, there's, you know, if you look at VMware with EMC, for instance, there was a lot of value in terms of spinning the two of those out to give the companies direct focus in terms of what they do. I mean, they just released the shop this week, Amazon Go, which is I mean, they're an incredible company, and I think that's, you know, when you're 14 times bigger, the next 14 companies are not even as big as you in this space. I mean, you've got to tip your hat to what they're actually achieving and their ability to execute, more importantly. But when do they get distracted? When are they diversifying a bit too much? I mean, it's hard to fathom without understanding the inner workings of the company. That's one of the things that's very hard to see, right? No one really knows what's going on inside the plumbing of that organisation, but geez, they're good at it.
Yeah, having worked with some of Amazon's engineering, there is actually not a lot of visibility between the different teams. Like the whole Two Pizza team, they're all kind of siloed, and so you'd say, like, aren't they spreading themselves a bit thin? Each of those products has a team and a product manager that's dedicated to doing just that. And so yes, if you're just hopping into their ecosystem and trying to figure out what's going on and where to start, yeah, that can be confusing. But they don't deprecate services, they don't get rid of things, because anything that you think is like, who uses that? It has 20,000 users, right? When you have 1 million customers, when you have over 1 million customers, even the things that are tiny and yeah, they're any startup that is doing DNS as a service would kill for 20,000 users. I mean, just any startup in this space, Chef included, would kill for like the volume of customers coming in through, just because it's Amazon.
I didn't think about it as an innovation tool. Then why not have that?
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't really hurt them because of the way their management structure works, where these are fairly autonomous teams. The group that does OpsWorks and CloudFormations and
Chef. What's the new Chef?
20 new cloud
but there's one team, and if you look at them, you're like, these things compete with each other. There's a lot of overlap in them, but it's not like there's one product manager who has to keep track of all 70 things. There's like one team that has like 5.
I would agree if they were launching services globally.
Yeah.
And the comment about product enhancements is a good one, because reInvent, they tend to do the whole shebang, the new services, but throughout the year they're always doing product enhancements. So the ELB is a great one. So now there's the ALB, which came out like 3 months ago, which is like an F5 Lite. So you can kind of do pseudo iRules. You can basically pattern match on your URI and you can send to different streams. It's not an F5 replacement, it's just maybe a little bit of the whole thing. Yeah, and the S3, there was quite a few. So there was the file gateway that got announced at reInvent, and that basically allows you to do an iSCSI mapping of S3, all right, which has very specific use cases. It's like a file store, all right, or you wouldn't use it as a file system. S3 is never supposed to be a file system. Anyone use S3FS? Don't even try it.
There are use cases.
Yeah. So it's basically a mountable file store, and which has a very good use case. And there was also EFS, which is coming any day, we're assured. Just any day.
Like Lambda.
Yeah. Well, and now you can mount over a direct connect. You can now mount EFS file systems from your on-premise as well. So if you wanted a centralized file system that was mapped to EC2 instances and you're on-prem, you could do that now. Those were 2 kind of product enhancements which were announced at reInvent.
Just to add to that, there's a What's New blog that you can subscribe to, and there's usually, I get up in the morning, have a look, and usually there's 10 to 15 items in there. Alexa can read you the.
Tell you the
awesome.
new stuff from AWS every morning.
Fantastic. So, yeah.
There was a blog post about 2 weeks ago about, did IBM make a mistake buying software? And they pointed out that Software's had 27 new features in the last 2 years, and Amazon's had 2,200.
Yeah. So, besides all those services up there, which are all awesome, I want to talk a little bit about something else I noticed at AWS this year at reInvent, which was a lot more than last year, and that is the focus on training and certification. Obviously, with the rate of growth and the expansion that AWS have, there's a very, very strong emphasis on training and certification. And I, at the last minute, decided, let me go and get certified. And on the Monday morning, I went in and, I cheated and I passed. So, it was all good. But seriously, in the early days, it was like, do you really want or do you really need AWS certification? But I think now that AWS is becoming ubiquitous and you need some kind of a benchmark when you're competing in the job market, and fortunately for people who are looking for work as AWS professionals, there's a lot of choice,
I mean, so that's actually a really strong, so we didn't talk about OpsWorks, But that was one of the things that they brought up really early. Yeah, that was one of the things that Amazon brought up really early was documentation and training and certifications around doing a joint product together. They're like, you know, it's not just that, oh yeah, we announced this joint project. You know, months ago we started working on, you know, collaborating on documentation, making sure that everything was up to their standards, and then going through and, you know, code audits. And, you know.
So there's also 3 new certification exams that are coming out. So one is around security, I think the other one is on networking, and I can't remember.
So there's big data, there's advanced networking, and there's the security specialist. They're all called the specialist exams. They're all in beta, so they're all half price at the moment. They've just been released globally, so you can sit them for half price. I think it's $150 for the next month. Now, the great thing about it is you get double the time to do it. It's got double the questions. So it actually, some of the questions which are in the beta won't get repeated in the actual exam. If you pass, that's great. If you fail, you get a free voucher to do it again.
Right.
So there's literally no downside of attempting these exams.
However, you won't get your results until
You won't
March.
get your results until March.
Yeah.
So I did 2 of the exams. I did the advanced networking and the security. Just as a comment, the advanced networking is a pro. That is a professional level certification. The security is not so much. It's a little bit more like, no, I'm not saying it's easy. It's quite ambiguous. I don't know if you've done the associate exams, some of the questions are quite ambiguous. They can go either way. The advanced networking is a good exam. It's difficult. It's long. Each exam is 3 hours if you want to do the beta. 170 questions. It's 135 questions in 170 minutes. It's tough. It's long. But yeah, do it while they're in beta because you've really got nothing to lose.
End of January.
End of January.
Cool. So we're going to do Q&A for about 5 minutes, and then we're going to do a wrap-up from everyone, and then we'll go from there. So, any questions, anyone?
Can I just finish on the question earlier, like improving new services, like practically, how does that translate? Like 20 new services supported by CloudFormation. CloudFormation has improved 20 existing services that it supported. Windows coming massively into the AWS space with C#, Lambda supporting C# now. Like that's going to bring a massive community, and I expect that's going to also drive some of the change. Like AWS being a customer-centric organization, like there are like heaps of companies who are working with Windows, and I expect lots of good things coming out of this expansion and this opening to the Microsoft world. So ALBs, like it was mentioned, a massive roadmap for ALBs, like iRows being more and more supported and ALBs becoming more and more like F5s. Like they are not leaving aside the existing services, and they are really improving. We see EC2 with the GPUs instances. They are not resting on their wins. Like they are really challenging everything.
Cool.
Just sorry, very quickly tying those 2 things together. The certification and the breadth of services. If you do want to do any certifications, it is a good time to do it now, because think of how many services you're going to get tested on in a year's time. It's blown up by what, 20 services in the last year?
But they are not including services unless they are worldwide.
Yeah.
So,
but I'd still do it
pretty
soon.
safe in
Get your
Sydney.
certifications now. they're all valid in 2 years when you've done it.
Questions, anyone? Anyone got questions? No? No? Excellent. No? Quiet house. Oh, there's one quick one down the back. Hang on. Do. Somebody play some interlude music.
Alexa.
Yeah, so that was around that. So we got the dot in our team. If anybody wants to contribute their top idea of what they would do with the Alexa dot.
Break the Samsung TV encrypted API.
That it? Yeah.
CRM. Everything's CRM. New contacts, new leads, forecasting, retrieving data, basic BI, anything to do with CRM. Huh?
Alexa force.
Yeah. Alexa,
Trademark.
call all contacts.
Sex chat. Yeah, sex chat. There's always one. Take it to the gutter. Good work. All right, guys. All right, guys. Look, thank you for the panel. So I'm just going to wrap up. I'm going to start with you, Rich. Just, give us a quick wrap up. Go for it.
So we didn't do AWS Shield, that was a big one. So AWS basically has its own SOC now. So, yeah, okay, so you can subscribe to, they've always had DDoS protection and they've not told you about it, but now you can, there's a free tier, an advanced tier, that's $3,000 a month if you want the advanced. You will have access to a 24/7 response team, any DDoS attacks, they can recommend you on WAF rules. So, yeah, so they're getting into the SOC business, which I find interesting. Pardon? So you need to use cloud. So the WAF plugs into CloudFront only at the moment. It probably, I would have thought it would be plugged into ELBs soon-ish. I'd say that's one of the things that will come up soon with the WAF. You can plug it into an ELB directly with that CloudFront.
So ALBs only.
ALBs now. So you can actually
Only
plug.
ALBs. There was no announcement about ELBs. It was only ALBs.
Right. Okay.
We didn't talk about Marketplace at all, and when you walked into the airport at McLaren, the big signs that you saw as soon as you walked in was around the new subscription services Marketplace. What we see as a distributor is all the roadmaps of all the vendors changing to build with cloud first. So there's a number of announcements. Intel Security, McAfee, soon to be McAfee again, re-architecting their software to work on AWS. Symantec are about to announce a major cut of their entire platform to work on AWS. There's more coming, but also on top of that with subscription services and these sorts of things, people will be buying more and more and more through Marketplace. That's another area where, again, AWS is a great investment, and that's a pretty exciting, disruptive space within the industry itself.
So, didn't talk about OpsWorks, but now's my chance. So OpsWorks is actually the first service that Amazon has outsourced. We are co-engineering it with Amazon, and the previous service known as OpsWorks is now called OpsWorks Stacks. That was a fork of the Chef open source product. What is now OpsWorks Automate, OpsWorks Chef, AWS OpsWorks for Chef Automate is actually our commercial product, which is a combination of configuration management, CI/CD, and compliance and visibility. And so it's free. Everything is still done through Amazon, but it is the same thing that we are moving commercially, and so we're now in lockstep with Amazon as we release features together. So it's really interesting because I'm pretty sure we are the guinea pig for, Amazon has been running other open source projects, that have companies behind them, and some of them, don't like it, but you can't fight the 800-pound gorilla, so we're not friends.
So my key takeaway from going to something like reInvent is you don't go for the sessions, you don't go for the exhibitor hall, you don't go for any one particular thing, you go for the entire experience. And the t-shirt. The after parties was pretty amazing too, actually. So, if you're considering going next year, I'm not sure it'll be in Vegas again, but do it. If you're serious about a career using AWS, I would strongly recommend doing it. Just purely because it really is a whole that's greater than the sum of its parts. The other thing is all the sessions are available on YouTube. So I actually put a list together of all the sessions. They're in a GitHub gist. I've created a short link to it, so if you want to know where the stuff is, we'll put it into the meetup comments. And just one last thing, probably the best talk that I went to was by the CTO of Chef, a guy by the name of Adam Jacob, who's extremely charismatic and spoke about DevOps and DevOps culture and sort of bringing it into your organization. Strongly recommend that you watch
It's amazing how good Amazon is at scaling from all levels. Physical layer, they build their own fiber now, they build their own routers, scaling web services, of course, really let everyone do that now, and scaling a conference as well, up to 30,000 people. That's pretty amazing. But you did have to wait for the men's bathroom, which is probably the only time I've had to do that.
Use the ladies.
Yeah, I wasn't game enough to do that.
We were empty. So I would say the opposite is Steven, don't go to Vegas. A week of reinvent is exhausting. Joke about three things. We've talked about products. We haven't talked about the people behind it. We've covered that a bit, but support, enterprise support is amazing, and they are bringing AWS Shield Enterprise, I think it's going to be called, and basically, in case of a DDoS attack, you can call AWS and you have a dedicated team looking at what's happening and trying to work out, block this attack with you, trace back where the packet originated from, and try to work with you to block it, which is really amazing. And the second aspect of the human nature of AWS is the well-architected framework. They've brought lots of improvement to it. It's really valuable to be an enterprise customer. I don't know, you pay a percentage of your AWS bill every month to become an enterprise customer, to enable enterprise support on your account, and this is worth millions. Really, I would highly recommend opting in for that, and you get the support of the SAs to make sure you are secure, you are resilient, you are scalable. Really, I highly encourage that.
Yeah, I'm just really going to echo what some of the other guys have said, that the dates have been announced for next year. It's the same week, basically. This is the last week of November, early December. So you've got a year to get there. If you need to write a business case, if you need to work out what you need to do to get over there, I think everyone in the room has the ability in some way to get there. There is something for everyone. There are enterprise tracks, there's architecture tracks, security, developer, the whole lot, business. It's not purely techie. There's a lot of business stuff as well, a lot of migration work. There genuinely is something for everyone. It is one of the most exciting single vendor conferences that you'll see around. Definitely, I would strongly recommend it to anyone.
Very good. Panel, thank you very much for this evening and for your insights. Thank you, TripAdvisor, for laying on the venue. And that's it, folks. Oh, hang on, I gotta do something.
Great venue.
What am I supposed to do? Stay connected, yes. So to get through, we're on the meetup page. So next month, I think we're skipping January, obviously, by this point, yes. So it's going to be in January, I think, back to our original hold in Big Chile. February. Read slide number 1. Okay. Yeah, check out our blog if you want to get to the guys, and I think Stephen and some of the guys will put some stuff up there if you want to access it. So check it out. But thank you all for coming. Thanks for your participation. Take it easy. Let's see you. Have a good Christmas, New Year's, and see you in February. Thanks, guys.